Heartbreak. Man, it's a universal language, isn't it? But what if instead of just surviving it, we could actually learn something from it? Today, we're going to dive into one person's really honest story of love and loss to find some powerful lessons. Lessons about ego, about forgiveness, and about healing that I think can help all of us. Let's get into it. And that pretty much says it all, right? It's never just one of those things. It's usually all three all at once. This story definitely starts with the fantastic, works its way through the complicated, and lands hard in the painful. But trust me, it doesn't end there. So think of this as kind of a roadmap. By looking at one person's experience, the good, the bad, and the really ugly mistakes, we can find a little bit of comfort, maybe some wisdom, and even a guide for our own hearts when they feel totally lost. All right, so every story has a beginning. And this one starts with a massive spark, a real whirlwind of emotion that felt like fate. But even in those brightest moments, the seeds for what was to come, well, they were already being planted. You can just feel the nostalgia in these lines, can't you? It's that honeymoon phase, that beautiful, almost intoxicating beginning where everything feels perfect and that connection feels like it's never gonna break. It's that feeling of being completely, vibrantly alive. The author says he was just completely captivated. Even though it was an arranged marriage, it kicked off with this intense infatuation. He was mesmerized by her positive energy, and pretty soon his entire world started revolving around her. I mean, it was the absolute highest of highs. But here's where we see the first little crack. This slide really shows the core problem so clearly. They were, in his own words, diametrically opposite. She was the bright, warm sunshine. He was the stormy, turbulent midnight sky. And, while opposites can attract, this was a fundamental difference that was eventually going to cause some serious friction. So how does a little friction turn into a full-blown unraveling? Well, it happens when two people stop trying to understand each other. And when that happens, something else takes over. In this story, the villain has a name: ego. And the warning signs? They weren't subtle. The author admits they were practically flashing in his face. Just look at this list. Arguing every single day over tiny, meaningless things. A total lack of apologies. And this one's a big one. Choosing to be right became more important than choosing to be together. Ego was winning every single time. And this gets to the absolute heart of it all. The relationship was missing that bedrock of mutual acceptance. Real love isn't about winning arguments or trying to fix someone. It's about seeing them completely, flaws and everything, and choosing to love them anyway. He admits now he totally missed that. Wow, this just perfectly illustrates the huge emotional distance that had grown between them. Can you imagine that? Sitting right across from the person you love, but your gentlest words are heard as an attack? They had become strangers living in the same house, physically there, but emotionally a million miles apart. And this is the question he tortures himself with looking back. When your relationship turns into a battlefield, are there any real winners? No, there's just the ego kind of laughing at all the damage it's caused. It's a question we should probably all ask ourselves when things get heated. So with ego totally in charge and acceptance out the window, the foundation was just gone. A collapse wasn't just a possibility anymore. It was basically a sure thing. And then it happened. The fight was over. The relationship, which had been strained for so long, finally shattered. And with that one simple act, his entire world just fell apart. What came next was a spiral into a really deep depression. All of a sudden, all those flashing warning signs he'd ignored came rushing back to haunt him. His days were just filled with regret, replaying every mistake, every single argument, getting totally lost in those painful what-if games. This describes that internal battle so perfectly, that feeling a lot of us know after a breakup. It's a tug of war happening inside your own head. Your logical brain knows you have to move on, but your heart, what he calls the irresponsible me, it just refuses to let go. And you're left trapped in this horrible, painful loop. But here's the thing. You can't stay in that tug of war forever. Something has to give. For the author, all that pain finally led to a moment of clarity, an awakening. And this is where the story shifts from being about loss to being about learning. And from that awakening, a clear path started to form. This is the practical guide he built from all that pain. Okay, step 1, accept that the past is over. Life doesn't have a rewind button. Step 2, Let go of the what ifs. It's a trap. Step 3, forgive them. Not for them, but for you. And finally, step 4, which is honestly the hardest one for so many people, forgive yourself. It's the only way to really, truly heal. Now, following that path doesn't make the scars disappear, but it does transform them. The story doesn't end with bitterness or regret. It ends with a perspective that is surprisingly clear and, in its own way, really beautiful. And this might be the most powerful lesson in the whole story. He completely reframes the experience. The woman who walked out isn't just the person who broke his heart. She's the person who, by leaving, created a better version of him. All that immense pain became the very thing that forced him to grow. And for that, he doesn't feel anger. He feels gratitude. So we end with this question, turning it back on ourselves. In our own relationships, in our own arguments, when things get tough, who's in the driver's seat? Is it the part of you that wants to connect, to understand, to love? Or is it the part that just really, really wants to be right? The answer to that question, well, it can make all the difference in the world.